Okay, in this video we're gonna talk about another fill to satin, but this time we're gonna go and work with a system font, and there are a few things where you have to be a little bit aware of on how to start, because I started and I thought I had everything going the right direction, and then I converted it to a satin, and really strange things kind of showed up with the satins. So that's why I want to make you aware of a few things. So uh, let's first delete all this. So this is the icon you will find in the inkscape extension gallery, what is being used for the fill to satin. So, and to find this, you can go here to extension gallery. Then you get the gallery popped up over here. Then here is the search bar, and there you can punch in satin, and then your fill to satin will show up. If that is being deleted, then you will see all the menu icons, and you can scroll down for that matter, or you can pop. What I do, what I normally have is I have this one undocked, and I have it on my second monitor, and then I have the whole menu open in my second monitor. But I'll leave it here for now, and we are gonna be using the fill to satin. So I just punch in here the satin and have my fill to satin selected here so that it is blue highlighted. Then when I'm ready for converting something, then all I need to do here is press the run button. So we don't need this here. Now I have a few things of all the same ones open here, but I just want to go and show you a few things. This is in the layers and objects panel. You can see it says text, and this is still the text. As you can see, I can highlight my text, and I can go and convert it to any text yet. And this is the one what I had, so I'll leave it at that. So this is just when we're using the text menu, we can go and align our text the way we want with the buttons over here. Make yourself familiar with these buttons, because you can change the spacing between the letters, you can change spacing between words, all good, those kind of things. That information is all here on the top bar, but I'm not going to go through that. So this is strictly the text, but if we are having the text this way and we are going to start creating our rungs, Inkscape will not recognize this text. So the text first needs to be converted, and then we go path, object to path. So I'll delete this one because that is what I did here. That's what we see. This is the text converted to a path, and oh, I selected everything there. So as you can see, still in the layers and objects panel, it still shows up as one object. So then I thought, okay, now I'm ready to go. And I went and I started building all my bridges, and all my rungs. It looks really complicated, and I went over here. I ended up creating a lot of rungs because something weird was showing up. And so what I will go and do is, with all the rungs that I have created, I ended up getting a result, but I was really disappointed in the result I got. And I'll go and run here the fill to satin. Move that one a little out of the way. So I'm gonna hit here the run, and I'm have a center walk on the run and a contour underlay and a pull compensation of a 0.2, and hit apply. And as you can see, everything appears to be a pretty decent satin. But I noticed, hey, there are a few little things. They should not be there the way I created it. And that is, over here, their satin looked really long. And also over here, that looked like extra satin, what shouldn't be there. So I was getting a little confused. Then what I did is, in order to figure out what is going on here, I went and grabbed one item and changed the color on it for a moment, and then I grabbed the next part and changed the color. Oh, that is I should go and use the node select. Then with a node select, then you can get each individual satin. Otherwise, you may go and select a group of satin. So in the node select, you can select an individual satin. And as you can see here, this satin, this line, is going in a really strange direction. So in order to fix that, I had to go and remove a lot of the nodes. So I'm holding down here the Alt key and draw a box around my nodes, and I went and deleted. And so that was a little strange to me on why did this happen. So, but now to go back to it, then I started further investigating. Oh, I should go a few steps back, because otherwise though I don't have my original anymore. So then I figured, what is going on? What is happening? Why this is supposed to be, it shows in the layers and objects panel that it is one path. But because we converted it to the text we converted to a path, but they still remain as individual letters. So what first needs to happen is we are selecting the text, and then we go to extension, ink stitch, and we go to tools fill and break apart the fill objects, and then hit apply, and now we close. So now we can see, and I can go and change here the colors, so you can see that everything is as individual colors. So there you can see still we have all the individual letters what are available as a fill object. And that is the reason why I was getting the really strange building of my satin stitches. So then what did I do is I went and selected all of my objects of the of the text, and you can work with them as that sometimes is easier is to work with them as individual letters, but what you also have, and I'll change that for a moment and go here to the opacity, and I'll set that to 50% and press enter. And then you can see, if you're zooming in here, there is a big overlap from the H into the A, and here you can see there is an overlap from the A into the Z. Here there is an overlap, so that would then all need to be cleaned up, and here there is an overlap. So you can work with it that way, but then you have to, in the end, you would have to clean up those pieces of satin stitches. So then what I did is I'll change back the opacity to 100% again, and let me see here. Now I gotta be careful, just making sure I'm selecting only the fill objects for a moment. So after the break apart, then what you can do is you can also select all your text and then go path and go union. Now all my text, everything is as one fill object. So now we can go and start building all our proper bridges and build our rungs. And so I'll delete that one because I got that here in the next one. And now we'll focus on this one for a moment. And then you can see how I went about building my bridges. This can become a little bit confusing in certain times. Certain things where you have to be aware of where your nodes are being placed. Let me see here. I always create my rungs and bridges as one object, and to do that is I will I'll show you that for a moment here beside. I will go and first escape for a moment, make sure that I have nothing selected. Then I will press the X button with the left mouse button so that I will have no fill, and I can set my stroke color by clicking my center mouse button, and I click a color. Then I go to my pen tool, and then I can see here that I'm having a stroke set and no fill. So then I will go and make one rung. Then what I will do is I will hold down the shift key and I will go and make more rungs, and I can make my bridge pieces. So just keep holding down the shift key, and then you can see in the layers and objects panel that all of my rungs, they are all as one path. So no need to select them afterwards and as individuals and then combine them all. That's not necessary. So you can all do it there's different ways you can do it, but this is my personal preference. So now I'll select it and I'll delete that. So now I'm going back to my text here for a moment again. So I will go and select now the rungs and the bridges. Now I will go and try to explain a few things on the rungs and bridges. So a rung does not have to. If you're going, well, in some ways, yes, it has to cover both sides. But when you're having the bridge, then over here, this is the last rung what is seen here. We can create a bridge, and I can make this bridge longer, and I can go and have this one over here, and I can even create another bridge, or I can create another rung here too yet. So this is where Inkstitch, it will read here the outside of the shape, so that the outside of the shape, that will be read as the rail. But from here, the rail will continue from this point onto this next rung, and then from this rung onto that rung. So I can, if I want to have this one wider here, then I see, that one is activated. Now I'm good. I could have, if I wanted to, I could have the rail going from this point all the way over to this, the end of this rung, and then come back to that rung. So you can control your satin overlaps by where you're placing these bridges and where you're placing these rungs. And this one, it is allowed to have this one on the inside of the shape. So that takes a little bit of time to get a hang of it, on where you need to place your rails, or where you have to place all your rungs, and how does Inkstitch extend the rails. Because let me see here, as you can see, there is a mistake here. I'll leave it like that for a moment, and then I can point you out on what is happening, and we'll make a few minor adjustments. But you can see here the bridge is outside of the fill area, and that will create a problem. Here I made a lot of extra rungs, and the reason for that was because I did not use the break apart, so I can now reduce quite a few of the rungs. And you can see here also, and I still should be good here, because you can see here I went and made a bridge all the way from here all the way over here. So, and I got extra rungs going across, and that should not give any issues. Let me see, I think that is basically all there is for now. So let's go and select everything, and then we go to the fill to satin, and we go run, and I'm leaving my settings the way they are, and now I go and apply, and we will close. And there you can see this is where that rung was outside, or the bridge was outside of the filled shape. And there you can see the last rung what was created, that was where the bridge started. So it did not go and use any of the extras. Also, what you can see here, the satin is finishing a little bit short over here, and the same over here, it is finishing a little short also. So how can we adjust that? Well, then we will go and edit, and we'll undo, and now we can go and make some of these adjustments. And how do we make these adjustments? We go to the node select tool, and here all I need to do is bring this one inside, and if I want to extend this satin a little bit further, then what I will be doing is create another rung over here and continue that into the fill area. Also, here we find that this one would be running straight across from this point over to there, but we want to have a little extra on the satin, so we will go and extend that satin so that we're getting a better overlap. And let me see here, there was another issue. That was a bridge. I may have to go and redo it once more. I think that is the same here. If we wanted to have better overlap of our satin into the next one, then we can go and add extra rungs, and that will extend the rail better of the satin. Let me see here. Here we have the same thing. We can go and add extra rung, and this one we may want to go and say this one I want to have further, if I want to have that one all the way extended, and if I want to extend this one further, then I can go and move these also. And you can see this bridge and the rungs I'm creating, they are not overlapping onto each other. So sometimes what we may have to do is move this this bridge part, move it over to the side and out of the way, and you will see that this satin should be continued now all the way up to this rung. And if you wanted that wider, so this one would come from here all the way going across, and this one would go out a little bit and then move over to that one. So let's see how this turns out again. And we go, make sure, then press the space bar so it gets selected, and hold down the shift key, select my fill area, and my fill to satin is still selected, and I can press the run and hit apply. And okay, so this is the spot what we wanted to fix up a little bit too yet. So let's go and close that one for a moment, and we'll fix that one for a moment yet. and sometimes it is a kind of hard to get exactly what you want within the way the bridges are, and sometimes we just have to go and make the adjustment on some of the rungs, but it doesn't hurt and give it a try. And so we go here, I'm going back and I'm creating a rung over there, and I'm gonna create a rung here, and I do not have to go outside the fill area, but might as well, because the space is there. I'm not gonna interfere with anything, and if I so desire I can even go and make an extra one just to make sure that everything gets covered. So now the rails, they should be extended here along the edge, come up to this one and then go across this direction, so that should give a good overlap. Also, this bridge, you will see that will become really straight. So there is room that a few rungs can be added in there for controlling the width of that satin. So now you can see we can make things fairly complicated, but we just have to think it through on what and how does Inkstitch work with these. So what we're telling Inkstitch here is that, let me see here, there we go. I don't know if it is gonna work. It should work. Let me, yeah, that should be okay. So we want this rail to go all the way like that, and this rail we want to go all the way along this. So that is why if we want that to continue, we need a bridge, and that bridge is over here. And then for the width, we putting rungs across the bridge, what are gonna be our edges for the rails again. So that is this one and that one. So that become our rungs. So yeah, after a while it almost starts getting confusing. What are the rails and the rungs? And so it is, at times it is a little hard to explain. Also on the rails and on the rungs, but as you can see, this is a straight line, and if we want to have more curve to it, we can create some of them with the extra rungs, but we can do it afterwards also. Anyway, let's go. Oh, I gotta go back into oh, I created the last ones, but I did not select them with all the others, so I have to select them for a moment and hold down the shift and then go path combine. So everything is, they're all the same color again, or it is all as one object. So now we'll go again and convert the fill to a satin. Press the run and hit apply, and we'll go and have a look at a few of these places where we made an adjustment. And as you can see here, we are seeing we getting these extra nodes, and we can go afterwards, we can go quite easy and delete a few extra rungs. But I noticed that for some reason Inkstitch did not create the connection between this one and that one. So for some reason I must have made a mistake, or Inkstitch is getting confused on how that needs to be built. So let's have a little look and see if I can find anything. I don't really see any reason why there should not have been a connection. So let's go and delete this one again and delete that one again, and Inkstitch should, because there's nothing extra overlapping anywhere, there's no rails overlapping, no rungs overlapping, no bridges overlapping, so Inkstitch should make a proper connection between the two of them. So let's go and try it again. So that is how come we have to just play with it sometimes a little bit and just rerun it and zoom in really close. And as you can see, we are having now just because we eliminated one of those or both of those rungs, now Inkstitch created a continuous satin there, and if we want to make minor adjustment, we still can go and manipulate here the rails, because now we are working with rails. We can with the node select, we can drag some of these nodes over easily. But you can see, because I created here a few of those extra rungs, now we can see that Inkstitch has built here right away as a more with an overlap. So that is how you have to check your corners, or where the satin is intersecting with another satin. Make sure that everything is in the right place there, and manipulate a few of these points if needed. Here you can see too, there is an overlap here, an overlap there. Sometimes you get that there is, depending on the shape, you will get sometimes a few funny little straight pieces in there, but that shouldn't really matter. You can spend a lot of time on simplifying things, but you're amazed on how good of a quality it will still stitch out with minor imperfections. What you're seeing over here, there we can go and drag that over minor, just to make sure that there is enough overlap. And the overlaps, that depends also on how much is needed, depending on what kind of pull compensation you have set to all your objects, because this satin stitch that will be pulling, this satin stitch will also be pulling, so that is why we're giving it some pull compensation to accommodate for that. On the ends of a satin you will get some push, so you always have to be aware of push and pull, and which direction does your push and pull go. Here might have to make a minor adjustment, and I'll zoom in minor, and I'll drag that one over a little bit so that I'm getting a good start on an overlap there. And now I can go select everything, and if I so desire I can change my settings in the params. So I could open the params, or I can go to the simulator, and if I go to the simulator I could punch in here the sim, and then simulator and run, and there you can see I have here the trims, show the jump stitches and show the trims. And as you can see here, because of the settings in the params, I do not have any jumps or any trims, because the settings in the param is start at the closest point and end at the closest point, or yeah, something along that line. That is why then Inkstitch automatically looks where the pieces are and in which order that it is being sewn. So that is one thing you have to be a little bit aware of, is everything in the order that you want it to sew. So that becomes an important part. What I like doing when I'm scrolling through the satin group to see if they are in the right order. So what you can do first is have the selection, then press your number 3, then you're zoomed in to the selection if you press the number 3, and then I'm going to my layers and objects, start from the bottom and work my way up. That way I can see which selection is highlighted with the nodes, and then I can see that everything is in the order that I created everything, and that is all good. So that is why we also ended up with no jumps and no trims in any of the text. And building those rails and rungs, it takes a little bit of time to get a hang of it, but once you get a hang of it, it goes pretty quick, and before you know, you have a lot of text converted into satin stitches. Okay, thanks for watching, and if you have issues, feel free to contact me and I will see what I can do. Okay, thanks for watching.